Hey there, and welcome back to another Hawkeye review. And today we'll be talking about the latest episode to drop titled Partners, am I right? Which picks up where the previous episode left off, with Clint being confronted by Jack in the penthouse, and then follows Clint and Kate as they continue to try and unravel the mystery of the tracksuits and track down the watch that was stolen from the black market auction in episode 1. And we start off the episode in the penthouse, where Jack is holding Clint at sword point before he's rescued by the timely arrival of Kate and her mother. And I gotta say, how the hell did Kate not realise that people were in the penthouse? And why didn't she call ahead to check? It just feels so needlessly risky to go to the house to hack into your mum's account to get insider info on her fiancé when your mother and the aforementioned fiancé could potentially be there to discover what you're doing. And it's especially risky considering Clint would be a very recognisable face, especially in your household where he was your childhood hero. Anyway, after a brief conversation, this leads into a scene where Kate and Clint awkwardly try to explain their presence in the penthouse and why they hacked into the account for information, stating that they're partners working on a case together, before the mum awkwardly tries to separate them and gives Clint the talk, which seems halfway between a desperate plea not to let Kate get involved and trying to hit him with the heaviest guilt trip of all time, bringing up her family struggles and the death of Natasha as bait. And surely she would have known what they were actually looking into as well, because it's her account after all. So I'm thinking she's actually deeper in this than the show's letting on. I mean, she has to be involved with Fisk and the tracksuits, right? Not just Jack. And I think Jack might even be a little bit of a red herring. I mean, obviously he's going to be involved in some shady business, but I don't expect him to be as high up as the show's presenting just yet. I think the big twist is going to be the mum's involvement. After all, there has to be a big reason as to why Armand was threatening her in the first place. And also, how the hell did Hawkeye manage to snatch the Ronin sword from Jack? Master thief indeed. I mean, it was all out in the open too. And he would have had to retract it, which makes noise, and then swipe it. And also, Hawkeye's phone skills need work for a spy. He's a very, very slow texter. Oh, and then Eleanor calls somebody. I wonder who that could be. Oh, and Jack is affiliated with the tracksuits. Surprise, surprise. It's all coming together. And then back at the penthouse, we're treated to a deliciously cringy dance scene, with Jack serenading Eleanor as he sings chestnuts roasting on an open fire. But I mean, God, poor Kate. I would feel very awkward if I was forced to watch my mum dance very intimately and romantically with her potentially murderous fiancé. But honestly, on the other hand, it is kind of cute. And seeing her mum so happy puts the doubt into Kate as to Jack's true character. Plus, he seems very charismatic and very sweet. I can see why Kate starts to doubt. And the whole sequence where they laugh at him for getting common phrases wrong felt so real, like a legit family. And it's sad that it's likely all going to go to shit. Also, the guy that plays Jack has such a lovable face. Seriously, the whole scene, he was great. I just love his smile. Too bad he's a criminal. And then this leads us into perhaps one of the most heartwarming moments of the season, where Kate, realizing that Clint is all alone, decides to hang out with him, wearing Christmas sweaters and having a Christmas movie marathon whilst making drinks. Seriously, everything about this scene is just so deeply wholesome. Clint ignoring Kate's breakdown of the plan in order to feed the dog instead, them watching Christmas films, Kate accidentally ruining her aunt's film poster, setting up the Christmas tree together, debating the merit of boomerang trick arrows, and even the far more serious elements of Clint talking through his first meeting with Natasha, the loss of his family in the blip, and the fact that he didn't just know Ronan. He was Ronan. And there was just huge father-daughter vibes in this whole scene. And God, I really hope he doesn't die in this show and they all get to have one big happy Christmas together. Also, I feel like this is the scene that settles things for Clint. That he has to protect Kate. That he has to keep her out of danger and prevent her getting hurt at all costs. And it's actually quite sweet when you think about it. A lot of times these mentor shows often have the mentor just get fed up and tell them to leave because they're holding them back. And it's nice to actually have a really wholesome reason instead. The next day, Kate goes off to see the LARPers to engage in some tasty police corruption and ends up getting extorted by them for costume money. And you know, fair enough. She wanted them to commit a crime. But I find it a bit dank that the dude that literally looted her apartment after it burnt down is one of the guys extorting her here. And whilst all this is going on, Hawkeye gives the classic "help me help you" talk to Kazi in the back of his truck. And this scene was fairly generic. But I just have to ask, do people just hop into their cars without even glancing in the back seat? Maybe I'm paranoid, but I always check. The last thing I need is some axe murderer lurking in the back seat and me not noticing till I'm buckled in. And I'm just a normal person. So this criminal, who probably knows there's sometimes going to be people out to get him, not noticing anyone in the back seat seems a bit out of character. Especially since he was diagonally behind him. Didn't he see him out of the corner of his eyes as he got in? He had to check the mirror to see him? Pfft, he's just begging to get murdered. Anyway, the pair manage to get back the trick arrows before we arrive at the climax of the episode. Kate and Clint perform a heist on the apartment to get back a special Rolex that was looted from the Avengers compound after the battle with Thanos. And he explicitly says in this scene that the identity of a long-retired colleague is attached to that watch. So it's going to be his wife, right? I feel like it would be more obvious if it was him. And it also explains how he actually managed to meet his wife whilst also being an operative for a top-secret government organisation. And it would also explain why his wife asked about it out of the blue. After all, she may have made some enemies in a similar way to Ronan, and that explains why they live in a secret location away from the world where nobody can find it. Hell, she might have even faked her own death, and this would reveal that she is in fact alive. There's a lot of possibilities here. Anyway, this is the point that it all goes to hell as Kate's attacked by Maya, because turns out this is her apartment, and Clint gets attacked by a mystery assailant. And this eventually turns into a four-way, all-out brawl with Clint and Kate teaming, whilst Maya and the masked attacker fight both of them and each other. And I do love it when villains don't just team up because they're both villains. Everybody having their own goals and objectives makes things a whole lot deeper and more exciting. Anyway, it's then revealed that the masked combatant is Yelena, Natasha's sister, sort of. And I mean, it was kind of obvious that it was her, even before she was revealed, simply because they signposted it by showing off Clint's trauma around Natasha's death over and over. But it was still a fun reveal. And then, after Kate gets dangled off a building via a cable, Clint gets some nice PTSD from Vormir and cuts her loose so she can escape. But yikes, bit rough. That landing could have been a whole lot worse. Hey, but at least she came back and saved the day, scaring off Yelena for the time being and turning Maya into a pincushion. Ouch. But then Hawkeye tells her to vamoose and that she's off the case, so angst incoming next time, I reckon. And anyway, that's the end of the review and the episode. And just a reminder, those were just my opinions. And now I'd like to hear yours. What do you think of the episode? Like it? Hate it? Make sure to leave a comment and let me know.